Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. As many of you know, I did not actually host a live stream this week as I was out in the hospital welcoming in the newest addition to the Crash family. Uh, Little baby Mini Crash was born July 3rd, 2018, at about 3 in the morning. And so I was obviously unable to actually host this live stream, but thankfully the magnificent, wonderful, awesome man with a golden wit, Wookie Goldberg, stepped up and offered to host in my absence. I was able to catch most of this live stream from the hospital room as we were in recovery. So you might see my name pop up there in the chat every now and again, but I am eternally grateful to Mr. Wookie Goldberg for putting this all together and getting this live stream in my absence together. So I will turn you over to him. Take it away, Wookie.
So, I know on Discord I said I was going to do my 131 game, but what we're actually doing is a real solar system. And what we're actually doing in real solar system is we're going to take this well, this is 131. I'm playing Cosmo's version. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I don't usually play with a full numpad keyboard. I usually just have my laptop literally in my lap. Um, is the volume good, or do you still need me to turn it up a little bit more? All right, I'm just gonna do a quick game sound test as well. Yeah, getting burned is a real problem. Not yet. I'm just doing a sound test here. All right, how's that sound for the engine? Did that come through okay? All right, cool. Yeah, and that was just a. I don't even know what that is. I don't ever play RSS, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Um, what is that, an AJ10 there? Yeah. So that was just an AJ10. I don't know if the bigger engines get louder or whatever, but so what we're going to do is, since I've been hounding Cosmo about doing the Sheruiken K, we're gonna make a fucking Sheruiken K live. The only guarantees are that it's guaranteed to be a disaster. I practiced this a little bit yesterday just because I never play RSS and I don't really know the feel of it or how the mechanics work, like tanks and all that shit that's different from stock. Uh, so I kind of played with it yesterday to get a rough idea. So I kind of already have a game plan. You know how like cooking shows always have like, we prepared this earlier. I'm not actually going to load up the craft file, but I took a screenshot of what I did so I can remind myself. But I'm going to attempt to do it pretty much the same as I did it before, but actually doing it. Because I'm great at speaking English. Also, where's German Kerman? Is he still hiding? Why the fuck does it come off sideways? Well, there. So here's the fun part is that I have to be really careful about what I do here because I'm actually going to give this craft file to Cosmo with the intention that he will use it in the series. So I didn't have access to his career game save file. I'm doing this in Sandbox with test flight disabled because that's when I was testing this yesterday. I was getting engine failures like 2 seconds after liftoff. It was stupid, and I got tired of that real quick. So I'm being kind of careful to do something that will actually work in his game. Even though Sandbox gives me everything, I just got to choose carefully what I'm doing so that I don't make something that he can't use because he doesn't have it researched or whatever. I got the cost down pretty low. So this mission craft, the Mark V resupply, cost 93,000, and I was able to get it to around 70,000. So it's budget friendly. So yeah, Sheruiken K Mark 1 Space Bus. Well, the whole point is not to break the bank with this thing, because, like, it's just a cash cow. It's perfectly safe except for the fact that I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know how to make this thing stable or the RCS balanced. I'm going to make that Cosmo's job to fix all that, because hell if I know what I'm doing when it comes to balancing RCS. In stock, I just use reaction wheels. I don't care if it's balanced. All right. Yeah, 10 kilos are approximately the weight of one strut. It got real small. No, I got this guy up here. Oh, I took a screenshot of all the tank settings that I want. This is all going completely different, like. So this guy, this is just going to be like an interstage area. If I can find that, yeah. Night. What ended up happening is that the tankage requirements got so small because of the size change, or the the crew Sheruiken, that's a Saturn 1 core. The 3.9 meter diameter one, it'll do 1,500 tons of avionics. So what ended up happening is the Sheruiken K ends up being really, really lightweight. So we don't need anywhere near as much fuel or anywhere near as much thrust. If I left the same engines on here that Cosmo was using, it would be absurd and impossible to fly. It would have too much thrust, and you'd like the boosters and the main engines would only burn for like 2 minutes each, if that. Well, impossible to fly in an even worse way. Yeah, I was working on this until 4 a.m. yesterday. And I'm doing no mixed tanks. It's all liquid oxygen at the top and all hydrogen at the bottom. And this interstage thing is just there for good looks and good luck. Yeah, it's more like the real shuttle, but a hell of a lot smaller. Actually, that probably didn't do anything, but hey, whatever. Yeah, so that's pretty much the final design for the center tank. And then the boosters change considerably. Yeah, that's how much smaller the boosters get. And this just gives you an idea of how much, how little weight the crew bus actually is. Um, the SRBs were more expensive. I actually tried to do an SRB test, and the procedural SRBs that did the job ended up being like 5 or 10,000 more expensive than the liquid, because I'm not using RD170s either. Because the RD170s, like, I don't know if this is going to be accurate right now. Yeah, right now we're lifting off at a thrust weight ratio of 3.17. Or something. Or is it 9? I don't know. It's got way too much thrust. I have a significantly stupider method, Cosmo. I make the tanks and then I resize the hydrogen one, and then I resize the oxygen one, whichever way that the delta V is increasing, because that means I'm decreasing the amount of excess oxygen or excess hydrogen. So I'll click it and it'll increase for a while and then it'll start to decrease, and that means I've gone too far, and then I just go back to wherever it was the highest. That's my extremely like college level math way of doing it. No, I don't live in Canada. I live in a stupid place. Stupider place. Yeah, it's dumb, but it works. So like, if I start adjusting the length of this guy, so like right now we're at 8316. So it might not be balanced at the moment, but it goes up. But then at a certain point, there will be too much, and then it'll start to go down. Yeah, see, now it's going down. So let me just make sure that these are right. Oxygen. Oh, that's hydrogen, that's why. So now, yeah, so if I make it taller, it gets less. I can make it a little bit shorter and it gets more. But other tanks might be wrong. I have to go back and check them all. Oxygen, oxygen, nothing. Hydrogen and hydrogen. Alright, well, we'll get it right in a minute. These are all Keralox, or should be. Yeah. I mean, it's a cool ocean breeze if you usually live in like Morocco. Go figure. This is a big old life support tank. Or it's gonna be. Yeah. Actually, I shouldn't. Should I? No, I shouldn't yet. Let's find a safe place for this. Come back to it. Safe place is in the trash. I remember because the crew cabin is going to go directly in front of the... I don't really know the right name for this, but it looks like a pair of shorts. So the crew cab is going to go right in front of that. Alright, now this is the part that scares me, because I suck so bad at building planes that I don't want to mess any of these wings up. Yeah, I guess so. Rocket pants, yes. Jeez, Cosmo, how come you couldn't attach this to the cockpit so I didn't have to reposition these things manually? I'm sure he was thinking that I was going to do this a year ago when he designed this guy. Has it been a year? Has it been longer? When did he originally make this thing? Because I binge watched the whole series and caught up really fast, so I don't really remember time-wise when things happened. But that part was easy. Yeah. It's official historian of the crashing. See, that's... Why didn't that mirror? Oh, I know why. Because I was looking at a screenshot and not of the game. There we go. And that's how I know this thing is going to be exactly 100% stable in RCS in the atmosphere, is because I'm just like taking off and putting back on everything in the exact same spot where he used to have it. Right? That's how it works. We'll make that better in a sec. See, it almost looks right, doesn't it? Almost. We are designing the Sheruiken K space bus for Cosmos series while he's indisposed with his little strangely not green baby Kerbal. One thing that does bother me is when I was putting this together just now, and it's a little bit different from when I did it in practice, there's actually two decouplers here that are clipped into each other because it was mirror symmetry, and the decoupler is attached to the wing. So that's not Kraken bait at all, is it? Here, let's just scoot the wing and attach it to the cargo bay directly. Yeah, see, there's two of these things. So that would have been some lovely Kraken bait. There we go. That should be okay now. So it should just be one. Yeah, just one. Yeah, so depending how up to date you are with the series, he's working on a low Earth orbit station, and basically we just want a really cheap way to get a crew of 6 up to a station in low Earth orbit that is co-inclined with the moon, so that way you can easily get to the moon from the low Earth orbit station. And this is just going to basically be surface to station, back to surface. It's not going to go anywhere else but that. But that tank of whatever it was, supply thing, I assume that was a Tremonia resupply. But anyways, it was like 8 tons, and this little cargo cabin is only like 1.5 tons. So the ship as it is here, like if you compared the weight of just this part of it compared to what we started with minus the fuel tanks, it's like 6.5 tons lighter, because the total weight of this is only 24.5 tons. It's going to get heavier, but right now it's only 24.5. Who was it that said, if you can get into orbit, you're halfway to anywhere? It was some famous guy from 60s or 50s or whatever. Am I leaving enough room for... So this is going to be the main life support tank. And with 7 crew, that's 58 days worth of well, 56 worth of food. I guess that's the limiting factor. So this is also going to be useful for those send X Kerbals to orbit and get paid for it contracts. So it's slightly multi-purpose. And the other thing I'm doing is the Space Pants tank. He had it empty for whatever reason, probably because he didn't need that much Delta V in the orbiter. But since we're going to be going to the station, which has an onboard fuel tank, I'm just going to fill the Space Pants with a bunch of Aerozine 50 and nitrogen tetroxide. That way we can drop off fuel every time this thing goes up to the station. And we can drop off life support to the station if we don't need that long of a mission. If it's just like go up, change crews, come back down, and it's only going to take 2 days to do that mission. The life support is in this tank here. Oops. This cylindrical tank is a life support tank. And then this is all hypergolic fuel. And I think that. Why is this? What? That's confusing. I don't know why that's that. Is that for fuel cells? I thought these were for fuel cells. No, that's hypergolic fuel. I'm confused. What's this then? That's also life support. Strange. Because these are fuel cells, right? Yeah. I'm going to make these hydrolox for the fuel cells, and I'm going to make the one at the back Aerozine. Aerozine. Okay. So I think that's right now. Yeah, so this orbiter now has 1,850 meters per second just on its own. We are going to use all of the hydrolox every time we go to orbit, no matter what now. It's going to... Well, probably. It's probably going to be slightly short on the hydrolox side of things in the main tank, which is fine because then we're not wasting, not being wasteful. Using every bit of tanks we've got, except the wings, because I don't really want to fuck with fuel in the wings. I'm not about that life. And the other good thing about this is because of this little canister here, which can hold a crew. Also, that's the only waste tank, isn't it? Because that holds one crew, we actually have a capacity of 7, which is good because the Perseus is a 6 crew and this thing is a 7. So that means if we have a Perseus with a broken heat shield or something that has docked up to the anime weeb station that still needs a name, we can send this up with just a pilot and have 6 extra seats to bring all 6 of the Perseus crew home and then just dispose of the hapless Perseus in the atmosphere, if somehow he manages to get a Perseus that can't safely re-enter the atmosphere. The funny thing is, I don't know if this can safely re-enter the atmosphere. So, good luck with that, Cosmo. And then the other thing is the HG3s are actually overpowered for this thing now. The thrust to weight ratio with an expiring Hydrolox main tank is like 5.5 with the HD3s, so they're just too much. So we're gonna go back to the past a little bit and use J2s instead. You'll notice that's kind of a theme of this, is that it's so easy to fly, or it's so lightweight, that we're actually stepping back several generations of technology on engines. Both on the... That was 15 degrees, right? Yeah. 2, 3. We're going back in technology for the main engines and the booster engines. We are not using the RD-170s either, because they're also overkill. Like, way overkill. Now the hardest part is setting this on here. Is it straight? Yeah, that only took too long. I guess we'll find out if it flies crooked, huh? That's the one thing I don't really like about this game, is that it uses a really wide field of view game camera, so you can't, like... You can never really get a good plan view of what you're doing. Right, but like, yeah, it changes your vantage point, but it doesn't like the only way to get a really straight on view is to be really far away from it. But then it's tiny. It's like shooting with a long lens on a camera. Things look straighter, more like the 2-axis view if you're doing like 3D modeling or something. That looks pretty straight to me. I mean, I can throw it in the air real quick. It'll be way overkill, but this is all simulation crap, and this is all free sandbox. Let's see, staging. Where are my main engines in the staging sequence? Oh, they're way the hell up there. Oh, okay. That's different. That's sick. I didn't know that was a thing. Cool. Of course, I went the wrong way at first. great. Did he show up? Oh, he did, didn't he? Yeah, so the alt scroll doesn't seem to work in the the, the building here. I have an idea. Since these are all procedural parts, I can just make them really small. So that way they're easier to manage. And I can make them larger again after they're attached properly. Welcome to the anorexic rocket program. Wait, why did that change? Nobody told you to change. Is that better? You mean like this? Yeah, that's a good point, using mirror symmetry as a tool. Maybe. Man, my computer hates this. You'll just go to space twice as fast. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna... Mostly this is what I get for changing how I was doing it. Can I tweak scale this? Yeah. Ha! Eat that. That actually looks right, doesn't it? What does space do? I'll save it first. Yeah, space didn't do anything. By the way, does my mouse cursor show up at all or no? I think this is on straight now. I don't know if there's any. Yeah, maybe another thing about Mac that's great and awesome and lovely and cuddly and all that good shit. I think that's straight, finally. Yeah, it's the bane of my existence. Let's see, how big was this before? So this is one of the 2017 models that has that touch bar thing on it. And what I used to have was a 2013 model. So I no longer have real USB ports. I no longer have Thunderbolt ports. I no longer have the MagSafe adapter, which was supposed to be a safety feature. No longer have a HDMI port. No longer have a SD card reader. No longer have real F1 through F12 buttons. No longer have a touchpad that physically clicks. It was a warranty replacement for the one I used to have. Yeah, it's a screen. I mean, it has a keyboard, but it's like an ultra short stroke keyboard, which they did in order to. I kind of like the 200 scale decoupler better, maybe. Nah, I don't want to change too much. It was a warranty replacement for what I used to have, which was the older model, and I brought it to them, and they kept trying to fix it and then not fixing it, and I got tired of that, as you can imagine. So after 2 attempts of getting them to fix it, and they couldn't fix it, they just said, "Well, you're still under warranty, and so you can just go pick out a new one from off the shelf." So I was like, okay, I'll just get the new model, not knowing what horrors would lay in front of me. All right. So here's take 2 of downsizing engines. Also, I have to get a little bit fancy with this so I don't mirror it, so that I can mirror the engines. And then I remirror it. Like that. Yeah, the 2015 Retinas are definitely what I would rather have given the choice right now. Yeah, exactly. It's massively unfortunate the way that they decided to go with certain things. I do not know why there is a Sepatron pushing it back towards the shuttle. Or indeed, if these are still... Yeah, they are. Still mirrored to one another. But those parts don't seem to be mirrored. Whatever. Is it? Damn it. It's not mirrored symmetry. Stop it. I maintain that it is due to their strange fetish of everything must be thinner and lighter without any real consideration given to what the users actually need, especially the abandonment of any sort of power user. Because what I really wanted, and that they never actually made, was a 17-inch retina. That never existed. Why do they sink in when I do that? This is the same thing that happened when I attached the tank the other way around. Was the couplers went inside. I'm gonna turn off snap. Will that work? Nope. Why are you like this? KSP V. I guess that's good enough. At least it's mirrored now, right? Yep, it is. Okay. Yeah, the this might be a very market specific phone, but there was this series of Motorola phones that were the IC series, and they came out like 15 years ago. They were, well, maybe not 15, at least 10. Um, and they were the product of when Sprint and Nextel merged together. So it was like, um, it had the Nextel walkie-talkie built in, but then it had the like Sprint data network or Sprint PCS or whatever. This was before 3G, so you missed me fighting with the main orange tank. It would not go back on the decoupler straight, And then I thought I got it on straight and tried to do a test launch, but the staging was all wrong, so I decoupled some launch clamps, but not all of them. And then the boosters decided to go flying off into the abyss. Yeah, so there was an IC602, and they had an extended battery, and basically instead of the back battery door going on flat, it had a bump out and then like a hole that went back down to where the release tab was for the battery door. So you'd have to like reach down in there to release the battery door, but the battery was like 40 to 60% thicker, and it was great because it was like, finally somebody actually gives a shit about battery life, and you can use this phone for like 4 days between charges. And they gave up on that. I mean, I don't really blame them for giving up on the IC phones, but I do blame them for giving up on the idea of really long battery life. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Yeah, you can kind of see in that picture there how the battery door bumps out from the back of it and then has a hole down in there to release the door, as opposed to being directly flush with the back of the phone, like the main the stock battery and door. Yeah, it was within seconds after Aveo showed up. Actually, I didn't even realize he was there, and then I had a disaster on the launch pad, and then everybody was like, "Blame Veo." So I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be funny if he was actually here." And then I looked up 4 lines, and sure enough, he said hi. Okay, so I think we're actually getting to the point where it's approaching flyable. Oh, right, action groups. So one of the things I'd figured out with the previous attempts of flying it was it has too much thrust before the boosters separate. So I'm making an action group to shut down half of the booster rocket engines before you actually detach the boosters. So you get a little bit more runtime out of the boosters, and you don't end up compressing the Kerbals into a thin wafer of green stuff. Now, I don't know. So, Cosmo, now that you're here, you probably know which engine upgrades I can use. So, am I allowed to use this E1 upgrade with the higher specific impulse or not? Mr. Cosmo. And then the other question is going to be with the J2s. Why do these things not hide there? Alright, so I can use the upgraded E1. So, upgraded E1. Okay, cool. And then this guy here. Oh my god, go away. There. I think I was using these J2S, I think is what I was using. And I know that those work because I checked one of the other Sheruiken craft files, and you're using the J2S on those. So at least that one I really know that you can without having to ask. Phone making noises. Alright, so these Delta V figures don't look right yet. So we're going to have to figure it out. I think it likes having them separate like that or something. Anyways, I'm almost certain that some of these tanks are wrong. Okay, that one's underfilled. Here, I'll just do this for everything. Yeah, that was the screenshot I sent you the other day or yesterday, Cosmo, of the rocket flying sideways is because something messed up with symmetry, and one of these tanks ended up underutilized, so the weight was biased to one side, and it was flying off to the side like the little disaster that it was. I'll share some of the testing screenshots with you guys in Discord. What happened to my mouse? What the fuck? Mouse, where you go? Okay, there we go. That was weird. And now people are doing fireworks. Alright, so we're getting close to nominal amount of delta V. The thrust, liftoff thrust, still seems a little bit wrong. But that might be because I made this tank fuel instead of hydrolox fuel. Right? It doesn't seem to make much difference. Well, that's respectable then. Oh, it's the staging order. It just didn't like the staging order. Why is there a floating engine in my staging sequence? I don't see it floating in air. Oh, there it went. So, Cosmo, this is kind of up to you preference-wise. This is, I guess, how much delta V you're going to have up until engine, like main engine cutoff. I don't know if that's going to be enough for you, though. But for some reason it seems to think that I've got too much liquid oxygen on board. No, it didn't mean the big adjustment. But yeah, this is how I fine-tune the tank size, is just by clicking back and forth until I get the highest possible delta V number. So 10,700. Yeah, so that looks like the highest number I'm going to get. I put it through so that it shows up. Well, this is what, 83, 87 together. So maybe you're going to want something stronger than an AJ10 for the OMS engines then, maybe, or something. I don't know. Or should I mean, I could stretch the main tank a little bit more to get more runtime on the main engines, if that be preferred. That's kind of the aspect of it that isn't really set in stone. Maybe that's a little bit better. Well, the reason I say that is because if you have main engine cutoff way before you're reaching orbital altitude and have to do a whole lot of burning on the AJ10, then you're going to have a lot longer. Like, you have 34 minutes of runtime on this guy. So, we'll see. I can guarantee it'll go up. I can't guarantee a whole lot more than that. Oh, no. Okay. I didn't click wrong. Okay. All right. So, engines. Alright, cool. So that's the... I forgot to name this. But that should be... I'll name that. Okay. So that's going to be the booster going from 2 engines to 1 engine per booster is Action Group 6. You didn't do anything this. I just, yeah, that's what I'm worried about is OMS might round out the last couple 100 meters per second. So that's why I was concerned about the thrust to weight ratio on OMS, because it might be kind of shit. Depending how far the Hydrolox gets you. Was it me, Wookiee, or some other Wookiee? So I'm not going to throttle up the J2s because in the atmosphere they're just going to waste a bunch of fuel anyways. Also, I have no idea how to do a gravity turn right in RSS because the altitudes are so different from what I'm used to. too early for prograde yet. I probably started turning it too soon overall. Once it's a little higher, it'll go prograde though. Yeah, but that's just a matter of repetition once the design is kind of settled down, I guess. I did actually do a YouTube video with a rover way back when he was doing the VROV, the one that he ended up landing on Venus that was like folded up inside of that can. Yeah, it's balanced alright. And the thing that I was trying to make sure of was that the pitch meter over in the bottom left over here, well, you can't see my mouse, but anyways, down there, that it was kind of near the middle when it was in steady straight ahead flight. So it's not having to correct for it too hard with the autopilot. is actually flying straighter today than the one I did yesterday. That's the max column. We're only at a TWR of like 1 right now. Because I have the long stats open. Just about, well, we were almost just about maintaining 1 minute. Yeah, Maz, this is the space bus. Also, I got camera focus changer on this, so Cosmo, if you're listening carefully, I just point to what I want and press O, and the camera just goes there. It's a pretty small mod. But yeah, crew cabin. And then if you're off with wow, mouse just went crazy. If you're off of something and you hit O, then it just resets to center of mass. We're still only going 3 kilometers a second, 3.1. So yeah, this is what I was saying. I may need to make the orange tank a little bigger because I added so much weight for the hypergolic fuel that it does actually... The orange tank is going to run out way suborbital. So as long as I'm not abusing the runtime of the engines, I guess that's okay. Florida looks awesome in 1/8 resolution because that's all this thing can handle with RSS. So finally at the point where I'm going to throttle down the main engines again because I want us to start to get a little bit closer, or at least not shoot the apoapsis way the hell up there. Even throttled down, we're at about a 1.5 thrust to weight ratio on main engines right now. For whatever reason, the Delta V stats doesn't seem to get the picture of me throttling down. It doesn't adjust the numbers at all, which is strange, but it's 5 kilometers per second, 1,600 meters per second still in the tank. We're going to burn out going only 6.6 kilometers per second, so that's 1,200 to go on OMS. That's probably too much. Maybe I should put the HG3s back on because they're more efficient, I think. When I was concerned about the HG3s, a lot of that had to do with the fact that the shuttle didn't have all the fuel tanks filled. So one of the things you missed, I think, while you're out is that I filled up this bicoupler tank completely with hypergolics. Yeah, I could make the booster bigger as well. Yeah, could do. The single engine situation is a little bit strange just because of the way that the tail is. But everything works as far as function. It just getting the fuel levels just right is kind of... Yeah, you came up with a really interesting tail design. I've never seen a plane with a tail like that. But I guess it was necessary to avoid it getting blocked by the airflow or something during reentry. I don't know. Don't know. Where's daylight anyways? Nowhere close. Yeah, we're not going to be anywhere close to hitting daylight. I probably shouldn't have launched at night. Also, this is see that fringy crap around the atmosphere? That's... you can thank Mac for that too, or at least this Mac. The graphics card doesn't like scatter, and it just does that. Well, we can hit the Canary Islands over here, right? You mean to make the orbiter slightly not as heavy? How heavy is it? Yeah, I've got 30 tons of fuel. 29 tons of fuel on board. Still. The problem is, I don't want to burn the engine for 34 minutes to actually get the... I mean, I guess I can dump it out of the manifest if I can figure out how that works. Why is there kerosene? Where is there kerosene? How on earth is there kerosene on board this guy? Why is there kerosene in this? That's dumb. I think I must have done that when I was clicking on something else. How long is AJ10? Does it have a runtime or does it just go forever? Yeah, I moved so up here. These little spherical tanks, I changed them into hydrogen and oxygen. I probably should have locked them because I don't think there's any more hydrogen and oxygen left now. But my intention was for the fuel cell to have the tanks locally right next to the fuel cells, and then everything back here would be fuel for the AJ-10 and the RCS. That was my intention. Yeah, I was just kind of gonna run the runtime way down. So about that mark. Are we still dumping something, or is the noise just gonna go forever? Yeah. Cool. Infinite noise. Mostly what I wanted out of it is to make it to Africa, possibly. I don't know. If I'm going to do anything, I'd rather actually have it be in the daylight, but at least... making sure that all the bits and pieces do work. Yeah, thrust to weight ratio right now is probably pretty abysmal, 0.16. let's see if this thing has any hope of re-entering. I don't actually know how to do this part at all, because I don't really fly space planes in my own games. This is completely and entirely just me doing it for the sake of Cosmonaut being yeah, we're about right. Okay, cool. Do I need to turn this on now? This, you can go away. So many overlapping windows. But you don't want to go away now? Action in progress. Cannot close window. Wow, that's exciting. Am I anywhere close to the right nose up angle? I think I've heard you say 40. No, we're just about at 100. External tank seems to be catching on fire. Well, she ain't pitching up. It's already at maximum pitch up, and I'm guessing that was a thruster. Yeah, this is not going to go well if this thing won't pitch up enough. Nope. There she goes. I don't think it's meant to do this. Jeb has realized that this was a mistake to take this mission. I think the master switch is not going to help us anymore. Yeah, but I mean, it was nowhere close to being like on the normal orbital eccentricity anyways. Like, it was coming in massively steep because I was going a kilometer per second too slow. So we just got to get more runtime out of the main engines then, I guess. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and call it, and I'll see you guys back on the Discord. So, congratulations on the baby crash, and happy Independence Day for everybody else that's in the same country as me. Later, guys.
Again, a big thanks to Wookie Goldberg for hosting this, and thank all of you for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So, until then, see you later.